Hey folks, so this is your preamble to Faraday's law and induction. So the pieces that we have available to do what we're going to do here are a galvanometer, which will measure current, a coil, and a horseshoe magnet, which is right here. Okay. The horseshoe magnet, just so you know, its north pole is here and its south pole is here, so the magnetic field is there. It's going down, but the field lines are also billowing out as you get out further. So just so you know the setup. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to attach the galvanometer to the coil. And my question to you is, and if you don't have the answer, pause so you can think about it and then come back again. But the question is, when I do the attaching, should I see current flow in the galvanometer? So all you're going to have is a coil and a galvanometer, that's it. So pause if you need to. You should be back by now. Let's try it. I'm attaching it. Nothing. Okay, and that's not surprising. There's nothing to generate an electric field in this coil. Okay, there's no EMF. There's nothing to make charge flow. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the coil in this magnetic field like so. And I'm going to reconnect it. And the question is, when I reconnect it, are you going to see current? Again, if you need to pause to think about this, do it. The question is, are you going to see current when I go ahead and reconnect? So pause now if you need to. Okay, you should be back by now. Watch to see what happens. I go ahead and connect. Nothing. That's not surprising. There's nothing to motivate charge in this. You still have no EMF. There's nothing to motivate charge. Watch, though, what ends up happening when I remove the coil. Notice the galvanometer jumped. And it only jumped while I was removing the coil. Watch what happens when I bring it back. Jumps in the opposite direction. Go out, come back. Go out, and come back. Now, you can actually explain this using physics that you already know. Because in this coil, there is charge, free charge, and there's a magnetic field that along this axis is down. So you have, QV cross B. Velocity of the charge is this way, B is down, there's a force this way in the wire here, which is pushing charge to circle. When you're pulling back, the direction of the velocity is opposite, which means the direction of the force would be opposite, which means you're going to get current flowing in the opposite direction. So you could describe what was going on with what you know. It turns out, though, that there is a more elegant way of describing it, which actually is quite useful in situations where this kind of a description isn't as easy to do. And it's wrapped up in what's called Faraday's law. And that's what we're going to be studying. And just in a nutshell, what Faraday noticed was the following. There is magnetic flux passing through the face of this coil right now. When you remove the coil, the magnetic flux changes. Now notice that I just removed the coil and you didn't get very much action. If I bring it back, the magnetic flux changes again, you don't get much action. But if I remove the coil quickly, you get action. And if I bring it back quickly, you get action. So what Faraday concluded was that the action that was happening in this system apparently was related to not just the magnetic flux, but the rate at which the magnetic flux was changing. Or if you're doing this with, calculus, the derivative of the magnetic flux with time. Now, the question is, what are you relating this to? It could be the current. What he related it to was that quality that tends to motivate charge to move, okay? And he could have zeroed in on the electric field, but what he actually zeroed in on was the electromotive force. that quality that generates the electric field that motivates charge to move in circuits. And so what Faraday's law effectively says is that the EMF that's being generated in a coil like this is going to end up being proportional to the rate at which the magnetic flux changes with time. The proportionality constant turns out to be the number of winds there are in the coil, and to satisfy conservation of energy, which I will explain later, you need a negative sign in that relationship. So that is Faraday's law, except as I'm looking at it, I'm realizing that you're seeing a mirror image of this, so everything is backwards. So don't worry about this. You will see a screencastify explanation later. Anyway, that's basically the preamble to Faraday's law. We're going to be looking at flux changes through the face of a coil. That's kind of going to be the main deal for the next week or two. Anyway, that's it.